Well, hello, boys and girls. It's Miss Pridmore, and today I am going to work through Grade 2, Module 8, Lesson 4 homework with you. First thing I want you to do is turn to page 211 and take a look at the homework helper. So it says, use your ruler to draw two parallel lines that are not the same length. And then over here, this is kind of like a think aloud bubble. It says, I know that parallel lines go in the same direction and never touch. Not only do they never touch, boys and girls, but what that means is they never get closer together or further apart. Do you understand? They never go closer together or further apart. So they are staying in that same direction in a straight line. I can draw parallel lines by placing my ruler on the paper and using both sides to draw two straight lines. Okay, now I'm going to come back to this homework helper page in a moment, but for right now, let's go ahead and look at the actual homework page, which is page 213. It says, use your ruler to draw two parallel lines that are not the same length. So what they had told you to do is use your ruler and draw two lines using each side of the ruler. So I'm going to start one here, and then I'm going to make a shorter one down here. Yeah, so you can see one of my lines is here and one is here. They are two parallel lines that are not the same length. Now it's going to tell me to use my ruler to draw two parallel lines that are the same length. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to start by measuring a line that is from 0 to 2 inches, a 2-inch line. Okay, now I'm going to move my ruler down. Watch how I did that. I moved my ruler down pretty steady, and I'm just going to draw another 2-inch line below. There we go. So now we have two parallel lines that are not the same length and two that are. Okay, now let's go back to our homework helper page. It says, draw a quadrilateral with 4 square corners. Depending on how you have learned to call, what you have learned to call these kinds of corners or angles, we also call them right angles. And they are where two perpendicular lines meet. A right angle is 90 degrees and it's what makes up a square. So they are going to call them square corners. Okay, that doesn't mean that you have a square, which is where that gets a little tricky, and this is not my favorite term. Okay, so for example, a rectangle has 4 square corners, but a rectangle is not a square. What it means is it has it has right angles formed by 2 perpendicular lines. Now, here's what I need you to know. In 2nd grade, you don't have to get very fancy with that. You just need to know what that looks like. Okay? So for example, if I take one finger and I make it go vertically, and I take another finger and it's going completely horizontally, I can make a square angle or a square corner. But if I start to bend this finger in, now it's no longer a square corner, okay? Only if it's straight and perpendicular. This is not a square angle. This is not a square angle, just right here. I like to think of it as an uppercase T, right? Uppercase T's have square angles. They are perpendicular lines. Okay, so let's keep going. Let me erase this and we'll just keep going. All right, it says, draw a quadrilateral. How many sides does a quadrilateral have? Right, 4 sides. Okay, draw a quadrilateral with 4 square corners. Okay. Now then, we're going to look back to our actual homework page. Does it tell us to draw a quadrilateral with 4? Yes, it does. So number 3 says to draw a quadrilateral with 2 sets of parallel lines. Okay, that's easy, right? I'm going to draw right here a 1-inch line and a 1-inch line. And then I'm going to do another one. 2 sets of parallel lines is called a what? A rectangle. Now, in this case, it may look like a square, but did you know that squares are rectangles? Yeah, they're rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. If you have any questions about that, you can read the thinking bubble here. It says both of these quadrilaterals have 4 square corners. That means both shapes are rectangles. The one on the right is a special rectangle called a square. Okay? Now, it can also be called a parallelogram. Okay? Oopsie, that's an O. Parallelogram. Parallelogram is a shape or a polygon that has 2 sets of parallel lines. So you're going to write parallelogram. It's a big word, isn't it? Like the word parallel and then ogram. Awesome. Okay, let's keep going. So looking back again at our homework help, it says that a special type of rectangle is a square. It has 4 square corners and 4 sides that are the same length. Okay, that's what separates a square from other types of rectangles. All right, now look at number 4 in your actual homework page. It says draw a quadrilateral with 4 square corners and opposite sides that are the same length. Does it say all sides are the same length? No, it says the opposite sides are the same length. Okay, if it's the opposite sides, that means this top side needs to be the same length as the bottom side. And that means that the 2 on the end also need to be the same length. Okay, would that be a square? No. It is a quadrilateral. It is also a parallelogram, but this quadrilateral and parallelogram is a special kind because it is a rectangle. Okay, so let's take a minute and review what we've learned so far. We know parallel lines are going to stay the same distance apart and they will never touch or go further apart to infinity, right? They just keep going with the same distance apart. A quadrilateral with 2, circle that word 2 sets of parallel lines is going to be a parallelogram. Now, a parallelogram that has 4 square corners and 2 or opposite sides that are the same length is a rectangle. Notice I said it did not say, I meant to cross this word all out earlier. It did not say and all sides the same length. No, it said just the opposite sides are the same length. So this side is the same length as this side. This side is the same length as this side. Does that make sense for everyone? Okay, let's keep going. My guess is the next thing they're going to ask us for is this all sides being the same length because that will make a square. Okay, here we go. It says, oh, here it is. A square is a special rectangle. What makes it special? So here's what we're going to say. We already know that a rectangle is a parallelogram. That means it has two sets of parallel sides. We also know that a rectangle has 4 square corners. But what makes it special is all the sides are equal. Okay, it's special because all the sides are equal. They're the same length. Okay, now then, it says color each quadrilateral with 4 square corners and 2 sets of parallel sides red. Okay, what's 4 square corners and 2 sets of parallel lines? All right, let me get my crayons out. I'm actually going to use colored pencils today. So let me get my red out. So I'm looking for square corners, 2 sets of parallel lines. Let's go shape by shape here. Are you with me? Do you have your red ready to go? Get it red, ready to go? Okay. So does this side have 4 square corners? No, it doesn't have any. Does this polygon have 4 square corners? No. Does this polygon have 4 square corners? No. Does this one have 4 square corners? Yes, look at that. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And how I can do this is, can I make a letter T? Can you see that? I'm going to zoom in really quickly so that you can see. If you're not sure what a square corner looks like, you should be able to make a letter T out of it. See how this would look like a letter T? That's how I know I have a square corner or a right angle to perpendicular lines, which this is a lot of terminology to keep straight, I understand. Okay, so I have 4 square corners. Do I have 2 sets of parallel lines? Well, yes, I do. This one is parallel to this one, and this one is parallel to this one. Okay, check. This is the first one I'm going to color red. And I'm going to go pretty quickly here because I want to keep this video relatively short length. Okay. What about the next polygon? Does this have 4 square corners? Nope. See, this one is not a square corner, is it? This does also not have 4 square corners. Is this one? Yes. 4 square corners and 2 sets of parallel lines. What do we call that type of quadrilateral? A rectangle. That's right. Remember, so many things to remember. This is so much terminology, but a quadrilateral is a 4-sided polygon. Okay, so these are most of these are quadrilaterals. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, these are all quadrilaterals. Okay, but they do not all have parallel lines. Remember, parallel lines are like this. They keep going. They never get closer or further apart, so they'll never touch. And then 4 square corners. We talked about how square corners are the same thing as a right angle or a 90-degree angle. Okay. All right. So do we have any other shapes here that have 4 square corners? Nope. 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 Okay. So that's it for our red. Now it says, color each quadrilateral with no square corners and no parallel lines. Okay, now this one's a little trickier. So the rest of these may not have square corners, but if they have parallel lines, we're not coloring them. Okay, so no square corners and no parallel lines, we're coloring those blue. All right, does this have any square corners? No, but does it have parallel lines? How I can try that, how I can test that out, boys and girls? If I take my ruler and I line it up, and I line it up with both of the sides, right? And I just trace out a little more, I can tell if these are parallel lines. They are, aren't they? They don't get any closer or further apart. You see that? Okay, so this guy is not going to be blue because he has a set of parallel lines. What about this quadrilateral? Does it have any square corners? Nope. But does it have parallel lines? Yes. These two lines are parallel. Okay. Same with this one. This line and this line and this line and this line. Those are two parallel sides. Okay. What about this? This shape has two parallel sides and it has two square corners. What about this shape? Do we have any parallel lines here? We know we don't have any right angles. What about parallel lines? Okay, let's take a look and see. This shape is a little bit tricky, guys. It looks like it almost has parallel sides, but when I line up my ruler, and you do not need to do this at home, and I extend this line, and I extend this line, you will see that they do eventually meet. So these two sides are not parallel. Now, by looking at it, Ms. Pridmore can tell you that the other two sides are also not parallel. So this is the first one that I'm going to get to qualify for blue. It has no square corners and no parallel sides. So I'm going to color this one blue. Okay, do we see any other shapes that do not have parallel sides or square corners? Yeah. I don't know if your eyes caught that as fast as mine did, but this one's pretty obvious. Okay, any others? Well, this shape has square corners. This shape has parallel lines. This shape has parallel lines. This shape has parallel lines. So that's it for the blue shapes. Now let's look at the last direction. It says color each quadrilateral with one or more sets of parallel sides green. So if it has even one set of parallel sides, I'm coloring it green. Now then, I am going to clarify something for those of you who are questioning this like I did. We're not going to color over the red to make them like reddish greenish weirdness. No. Okay. So these two definitely do have at least one or more set of parallel sides, right? Because that was one of the stipulations to color it red. But excluding the two that we colored red, if they have at least one set of parallel sides, we're going to color them green. So I'm just going to trace any type of parallel lines that I see in these shapes. Oopsie, whoa, that was way out of lines. And these are also parallel. These are parallel. These two lines are parallel. And these two lines are parallel. And these two lines are parallel. And these two lines are parallel. So the rest of these shapes we are going to color green. Now, I am not going to make you sit and watch me color all the rest of these shapes green, but I do appreciate you boys and girls for tuning in and getting your homework done with me. Have a great day.